Hello everyone. So now that the game is all reskinned for Easter, what we will do is make it like the real game of Snake. So how can you die in Snake? It's when you go through yourself, go through walls, we want to die. So right now it's not doing it. We will code it and test it right away. Actually, it was already coded, but with a lot of tech debt. So I had stashed it here. Stash pop. So if we look, we have here the code to make sure that when a segment of the tail is at the same position as the snake position, we kill it. And if the snake position is off the limit of the map, we kill it too. But it's like hard coded, so we'll take care of these to-dos. So here, let's uh, let's make it so that the snake dies when it's outside of the game. What does it mean to die in Snake? Uh, the death means that um, the snake will reset to the starting length and it will move back to the start with the down position and the tail, the tail is at the start. Reset the tail, reset the position, reset the orientation. And yeah, that's it. And maybe we can place the egg somewhere else, the nugget. So we'll need a test for each of those. Test. But before we get there, we'll make sure to just test what is already written, and then we'll add some new features for when you die. So first is out of bound, move out of this loop. That's just to move it like this. Out of bound stuff. Okay. So if this happens, what do? You die. What does it mean to die? It's this. So let's extract it. Or is die too harsh? Because I lose. So we lose. What's the problem here? Reformat. Excellent. So this is pretty much something that we could extract. It's like check wall collisions. So yeah, how do you check for a wall collision? We check that all of this, and yeah. Or maybe it's this part that could be extracted. No, let's keep it like this for now. It's simple enough to read. So now that we extracted it, the check wall collision, we'll create a test for it. Test game, test when snake hits wall, then snake dies. So what's the test? We need to create a game of, yeah, sure, size 10. We initialize the snake, move its position, and maybe the easiest way would be a game of size 1. So the map will look like this. Oop, I can draw. Okay, if the map looks like this, you have the snake. If he moves in either direction, he will die. So if he gets here, he's out of bound and he dies. So size 1, initialize the snake. Okay, let's set the position to 0, 0. The orientation to down. What's the problem here? Okay, that's the setup. If you hit the wall, so it means that you update the game loop. And game dot what would we say? Oh, we're actually asserting that maybe we have like a def counter or something. Game.defs is equal to 1. So initially it's, we assume it's 0, and then it will be 1 here. Okay. What will change here is that we will do this a bunch of times. Don't need like a separate test for them. We just put it like this. Snake position, down, update, game def. So if we put it back at 0, 0, move it to the right, update, should be dead again. Three def, 4 defs, if we're looking up, and if we're looking left. Okay, let's create this field. It starts at 0. Of course, if we run the test, it will fail because it's still at 0. Actually, it fails on something weird. If we lose, yeah, let's not exit when we lose. Just make the def go down. It did not work. So at this point, we're at 0, 0, moving right, we update, and it should be 2, but it's still 1. Why is that? Let's have a look step by step. So at this point, I would expect the game.snake to be at position 0, -1, so he's dead. Right, because the collision was hard-coded, so it's perfect. The test is showing a bug here, so it should die. Yeah, we should use the map size. That's working. So the map size is 1. So if it's at -1 or 1, it's dead. So now it works with all sizes. Pretty good. All the tests are working. If I run it, we'll look at it. Does it die? Oh, it does not die because yeah, we're not like resetting it. So let's make another test for no, let's keep it like this. Okay, we moved it out of bound. The out of bound depends on the game size. We did it. Smooth or def. That will be what we want to do. So do not exit. That's done. Show the score. Okay, for now we won't show the score, but we will just create a new game right away. So what does it mean to lose? We'll have a test for it. If we create a game, initialize the snake. Let's say it's at 10 and the snake it's initialized in the middle, remember? So what we want to check is that when snake dies, then we spawn in the middle. So yeah, let's just keep it size of 1. If we initialize the snake, and doesn't matter where it's going, but I think it needs it. So let's do this like this. It does already have an orientation, so we don't need it. Okay, we update the game, so now the snake died. When it died, we would like to check its position. It should be back to 0, 0. So that's the game snake position. If you run the test, it should fail, and it's at it's not writing it, but it's at -1, I think. So now let's make sure that when you lose, you just reinitialize the snake. So the snake will be recreated and you eat 2 times. Pretty easy. Oh, it's not passing. Test when snake dies, then respawn in the middle. It is not working. So it's not 0, 0. What is it? What's the game? Snake position. How? We need to round it down. Okay, so that's for another test. It's when. Is there something that checks where the snake spawns? Yeah, it's in the test snake movement. Snake initializes when snake is in the middle facing. Okay, what we need is should we copy it or just change it to like 9? Yeah, let's make it like this. No, let's create a new test because it highlights a new bug. So when snake initializes and snake is in the middle, facing, I don't know what, it's in the middle, it's in the middle, round it down. Or just like, it's in the middle, but given add map size, when the snake is initialized, then snake is in the middle. So we have add map size, and it's in the middle like this. So it will fail, and so we will code it, initialize this, we will, I think that's it, just integer division. All the tests are passing. Do you think these are game snake movements, or it's a game test? I think when you eat a nugget, it's like between snakes and nuggets, it's really the game stuff. But when you eat, hit a wall, this is really movement related stuff. So let's move it to here. Run all the tests. It passes. Let's see if we can inspect the code, see if there's some errors. So no new line, thank you. No new line, thank you. Too broad exception, we can't do anything about it. Can we just do like this? Okay, we got this, and if we inspect, we only have this one. Let's suppress for this. And yeah, that's it. Okay, this feels good. So now we have all the game stuff for this. This will be moved to like check collision with the tail. Alright, so on every update you move, you check for all the collisions. They don't have any relationship between each other, so let's not make them in a method. So check the tail collision. I think it's not tested. Like if we do pass like this, no test is failing. Let's make sure there is one. So let's so I think this is also snake movement stuff. So let's make it here. We create a game. When snake hits its tail, then it dies. Alright. All the loose stuff, you know what, let's call it die. Okay. So all the tests are passing. When you die, increase your death, and you reset the game, basically. So let's call it reset game, or just reset, because we're already in the game. Yes. So when you die, you increase your death, and you reset. And when you reset, you initialize the snake. Maybe later we'll have some other things, and it's not related to death. So that's why we'll call it reset. So let's make this test when the snake hits its tail and it dies. So we're gonna create a bigger map. We're gonna create a tail. So I'm gonna search for other places where we created the tail, like here. Game that snake that tail is this. So it's the snake. Remember, it starts at 5-5. It has a tail at. Let's make it clearer. So we have a snake like this. It has a tail here, 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 and here. Are you good with that? So if it's like this, it means it will go on its tail and die, and that's what we want to check. So this is 5, 5. This is 5, 6. Have it here. 5, 6, 6, 6. This will be 6, 5, 6, 4, 5, 4. So we have 6, 6, 6, 5, 6, 4, and 5, 4. So it does not work. Actually, what we're trying to do is check the def. So we'll check if the def is equal to 1, but it will also fail because it's not coded. So it's still at 0. Okay, let's split it. This is the setup. So arrange, act, assert. You might have noticed I always try to split them like this, except when I test multiple stuff, but this is divided if it's a good way or not to test, if we test many things at the same place. But usually you try to have a arrange part that is like the setup for the test, and act. It's like what action are you trying to test, and what are you expecting in the behavior of the code. So this is it. So when we update, now when you die, when you hit your tail, you don't die. And it's because we add a pass here. So let's put it back, die. And it's working, excellent. I think we can even refactor this as if snake position, look at that, if the snake, oops, if the snake position is in the tail, does it still work? Forget this, running the test. It passes, so it's much simpler like this. It's very cool. So what else is there to do? No to do left. We are not checking for the size of the tail. So for example, if we die, is the tail, we expect it to be 2. Actually, we'll make it the initial tail size is game.snake.tail. So we don't care what the initial size is, but we care that at the end it is of the same size. Oops, I made a mistake here. I want to copy this. Okay, when snake when reset, um, okay, so it's when it dies, it's not really related to the movement. So this one will be in the game test. Here, test game. So when snake hits its tail, it dies. That's movement related. When it dies, it respawns in the middle. That is not movement related. So let's move it here also. And if we're checking when it dies, we can just call die. Let's make it 1010. And move the snake somewhere. Two. Okay. So the snake is placed somewhere. And when it dies, we want it to go back to the initial position. So let's have the same principle here. What is the initial position? It will be a deep copy of the snake position. So the initial position should be equal to the snake position after its death. So we initialize, set the initial position and move it somewhere else. You die, you should go back to this place. We don't care about where it was. This is not really useful. Could even be none. We don't care at all about this. Perfect. So when snake dies, then respawn in, let's call it initial position. When the snake dies, then reset tail to initial length. Let's call it, yeah, length. So initial length is this. So now we're making a bigger tail here, and we want to make sure that when you die, the initial length of the tail is reset. I'm not even sure if it's done. Yeah, it's reset. Excellent. So it's what we do here. We E2. It's because we create a new snake, so it's done for free. So let's look at what we have here. In game, we check for a bunch of stuff. So we have deaths. We have 0 death at the start, and okay, just to fix some bug. When we update, we check for collision with everything. A tail collision. If there's a tail collision, you die. If there's a wall collision, you die. If you die, you have 1 more death, and you reset the game. When you reset, you initialize the snake. Makes sense. The main, we just NER this. I can commit it separately maybe. NER in your warning for global exception catching. It's not global, it's for the draw, because the draw hides it. Oh, you know what? Let's put the try catch. No, it has to be here. Right, commit again. In your warning for undraw exception catching. Because we don't care. Because we don't know what the exceptions are. And we don't care, we just want to print them. So commit this. Test game, what we changed is, do we have any error? No? Okay. Test game, what changed is that we check that when the snake dies, it respawns in initial position. When snake dies and reset tail to initial length, it's working. Game nugget, we just add some space, we don't care. Test game snake movement. Fix a typo. Checked when it's an odd map size, because there was a bug. When you hit a wall, you die, and when the snake hits its tail, it dies. So we have everything. An extra line here. If we inspect, everything is good. All the tests are passing. If we try, let's die, we restart. Excellent. I hit my tail. If I go too fast, you see the bug that we saw in the previous video. That if we turn too fast and go back, sometimes you go on yourself, and in this case you hit your tail and you die. That's why sometimes I randomly disappear. So I just hit my tail. Okay, so when you die, we can make it so the nugget moves. So you can't like cheat and know in advance where it is. Let's say this as why. So test it would be game, because it's between the snake and it's like the integration of everything. When snake dies, then respawn nugget. So somewhere we have something called a generator, position generator. In the test here we have it, position generator, return the position like this, so we'll reuse it. So the first nugget will be at 2, 2, and if the first nugget is at 2, 2, how do you set the second nugget? Maybe we can do like this and return position 3, 3. So we don't care about the tail, don't care about that. We care that the position of the nugget is this. So when you die, the nugget is at the second position. Does it pass? We don't even care about the snake, just care that you die. Here's the same thing. When you die, we don't care at all about the snake, except, yeah, we want to know the initial position. Okay, so when snake dies, then respawn nugget, and the nugget is, I would assume, at position 2, 2. Game that nugget, nugget is none. Yeah, none type has no attribute position. So the nugget is none. Where is the nugget spawn? Don't remember. It's place nugget. Where is it used? When there's a nugget collision, we place it. Okay, when we start the game, we place the nugget. So let's do it in the test. Here, create a game, place a nugget. Game, place a nugget in the game, and when you die, it should be at the next place. And it's working. So the first placement, it's probably placing it here, and then you die, and it places it here. Let's have a look. Here, so if I die, actually, it's not moving. So why is it working? So here I expect the nugget to be at 2, 2. Oops. Run all the tests. Oh yeah, it's not even working, the first one. So we have to, I'm just gonna guess, maybe it's just simple like this. It can return an array of return stuff. No, okay, so we'll have to look it up. This is a double package. Allow. It was n return. Once a method call has been allowed, it can be made any number of times and it will always return the value specified. The example shown so far will allow the stem method to be called, blah blah. Okay. So you can have different, you can see if we have this argument, return this, but that's not what we need. With no args. But we don't really care about this. How do we this castable? We want to return different things, like one for the first time, one for the second time. Maybe we need a fake for this. Um, return something else. We don't need that. I'm gonna search for return sequence. Python doubles and return sequence or a list. Maybe we could call it like this. Talks about the list here. If the double is called more times than there are return values, it should continue to return the last value in the list. Okay. So it's like a list of values. So I think we can do it like this. There's no list, we just separate them with commas. Okay, so it first worked for this, but then it didn't work for it, and it makes sense because we saw the bug in the manual test. So when you die, let's make sure that you reset. When you reset, you initialize the snake and place the nugget. Does it work? Okay, now I'm breaking everything else because it's trying to reset the nugget and it does not know where to put it because there's no, the position generator is none. Okay. So in the test, let's have like a default position generator. is equal to this, and return position 0, 0. Well, I don't care. I don't care what they're going to say. I hope you know the song. If you don't Google it, it will stay in your head forever. So the default position generator will be this. Excellent. So everywhere that we have a game, we'll use the default position generator if it's not specified. I think it should work. Oh, it's not working here. So we also need the default position thing. Let's copy this setup here. Import allow. Run all the tests. Alright, so everything is passing. Let's make sure the inspection works. Yes, it does. Let's do a manual test just to make sure that if we die, the nugget moves. Looking good. And it still moves if you eat it. Excellent. So that will be it for today. So what did we do? Let's just review a little bit of code review quickly. Yeah, it looks good. It's looking good. The new part is here. When the snake died, then we respawn nugget, and that's what we check. Here we let's keep it just to make sure it's at 2 first. We don't care about this. This is looking good. So all the tests are passing. We will commit. Oops, what's going on here? Terminal is here. Get status. Oops. Anyway, what we do is we commit everything, and the message will be reset game when dead, or on death. Reset game on death. Sounds good. So that will be it for now. It's pushed, so you can clone it on GitHub, play with it. It's starting to look like a real game, don't you agree? Look at that. It's pretty neat. Yeah, the last thing we can do is update the board here, so the walls kill you. You die when you hit your tail. Yeah, the rest is not done. I like it. So we will see you in the next video, where we will probably fix this bug because it's annoying. We don't want to drag it with us. It's kind of annoying. when you do manual testing and stuff. So we'll kill it with fire. All right, see ya.